When an INFJ walks away, it often comes as a surprise. One day they are showing up, listening, helping, and offering their quiet support. Then, without warning, they step back or disappear completely. No arguments, no final speech, no dramatic exit. Just silence. For many people, this quiet goodbye feels confusing or even hurtful. But for the INFJ, walking away is rarely a sudden choice. It's a final step in a long internal process. INFJs are known for their deep emotions, strong loyalty, and intense commitment to the people they care about. But they also carry a strong need for inner peace. When something continues to disturb that peace, whether it's a person, relationship, or environment, they start to pull away. Not out of anger, but out of protection. The truth is, INFJs often give far more chances than they should. They stay too long, hope too much, and offer their patience again and again. But when the emotional weight becomes too heavy, they reach a point of quiet decision. They decide that staying is no longer healthy for them. And once that decision is made, they rarely go back. This video explains 6 real reasons why the INFJ walks away. These are not surface-level triggers. They are deep emotional truths that the INFJ carries with them. Understanding these reasons can help explain not only why they leave, but also what they need in order to stay. INFJs are not easy to lose, but once they're gone, it's hard to get them back. The key to understanding their goodbye is recognizing the signs that led to it. Let's look at the reasons that drive the INFJ to finally let go. Reason number 1, emotional overload and burnout. INFJs are emotional sponges. They don't just notice how others feel, they absorb it. Whether it's sadness, frustration, fear, or stress, they take it in and carry it as if it were their own. Over time, this constant emotional intake becomes too much. When INFJs give and give without getting support in return, they hit a wall. And that wall is often where they decide to walk away. At first, they might try to handle it. They care about people, and they often believe that if they just try a little harder, things will improve. So they stay, they listen, they comfort, they take on emotional labor quietly and willingly. But the weight builds slowly, and before they know it, they're emotionally burned out. This burnout doesn't always look obvious. INFJs won't always say they're tired. They might still smile and nod, but inside they feel drained. Every conversation feels heavy. Every message feels like an obligation. And the thought of staying in that space starts to feel unbearable. One reason this happens is because INFJs often forget to set limits. They focus so much on helping others that they ignore their own signs of stress. They put off rest. They don't ask for what they need. And they stay longer than they should, hoping things will change. But when nothing changes, they do. Their patience turns into distance. Their concern becomes silence. And the person or situation they once showed up for every day no longer hears from them at all. This isn't a punishment. It's a recovery. The INFJ doesn't walk away to teach someone a lesson. They walk away because they can't carry everything anymore. Their own emotions have been buried under the weight of everyone else's. And the only way to feel normal again is to let go of what's been draining them. This is why INFJs often disappear quietly. They don't need to explain. They have explained too much already. In their actions, their attention, their time. When the emotional cost is too high and nothing gets better, walking away is their last form of self-care. To outsiders, it may seem cold, but to the INFJ, it's a return to balance. They need time to breathe, to feel their own feelings again, and to exist without always taking care of someone else's world. Reason number 2, lack of authentic connection. INFJs are not interested in surface-level relationships. They want real conversations, real emotions, and real understanding. When that's missing, it's only a matter of time before they start to feel disconnected. They may stick around for a while, trying to build something deeper, but if the connection never comes, they begin to drift away. It doesn't matter how often they see someone or how polite the interaction is. If the INFJ feels like the relationship lacks honesty or depth, they slowly lose interest. They're not looking for constant attention or drama. They're looking for people who show up as their full selves. Small talk, fake compliments, and emotional distance don't satisfy them. They need to know the person behind the smile. They want to hear the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. And they're willing to open up too, but only when they feel safe. When that safety is missing, the INFJ starts to close down. They become quieter, less present, less engaged. They might still show up, but they're not all there. Emotionally, they've already started to leave. They often give people chances to go deeper. They'll ask thoughtful questions. They'll share small pieces of their own experience. They'll create space for the other person to be real. But if those attempts are ignored or brushed off, the INFJ gets the message. This isn't the kind of connection they're looking for. Eventually, the absence of authenticity starts to feel like rejection. INFJs don't just want to be around people, they want to be known. And when that need is never met, they feel invisible. And being invisible in a relationship is one of the fastest ways to make an INFJ walk away. They won't announce it. They won't demand change. They'll just quietly stop trying. And that silence speaks louder than any argument. For the INFJ, walking away from a shallow or distant relationship isn't about giving up. It's about honoring what they truly need. And if a relationship can't meet them on that deeper level, they'll go find peace on their own. Reason number 3, violation of core values. INFJs live by a strong personal code. Their values are not just ideas, they're rules they follow. These values guide everything they do, from relationships to work to daily decisions. And when someone crosses those values, the INFJ can no longer stay close to them. This isn't about being judgmental, it's about alignment. INFJs need to feel that the people in their life share, or at least respect, their sense of right and wrong. When someone constantly lies, disrespects others, breaks promises, or acts selfishly, the INFJ feels an internal break. Even if they once cared deeply about that person, something shifts inside. They no longer feel safe in that connection. It often takes a lot for an INFJ to reach this point. They are forgiving by nature. They try to understand where others are coming from. They give second chances. But when someone repeatedly goes against what the INFJ believes in, the INFJ begins to pull away. Not to punish the other person, but to stay true to themselves. They may not say, "You've crossed a line," but their behavior changes. They stop sharing. They stop offering support. They stop reaching out. It's their way of quietly drawing a boundary. One of the most common values INFJs hold is honesty. When they find out someone has been dishonest, especially about important things, it feels like betrayal. Even if the lie seems small, the damage is done. The trust breaks, and trust is everything to an INFJ. Another deep value they hold is fairness. INFJs often stand up for those who are mistreated. If they see someone harming others or treating people without respect, they will not look the other way. Even if it costs them a friendship or job, they'd rather walk away than stay in a place that goes against their core beliefs. Once the INFJ sees that a person's actions do not match their own values, they can't unsee it. They might stay for a while, trying to work through it, but eventually, staying starts to feel like they're betraying themselves, and that's something they just can't do. Walking away becomes the only way to stay aligned with who they are. It's not a moment of weakness, it's a sign of deep personal strength. Reason number 4, unbalanced relationships. INFJs naturally give a lot in relationships. They show up when others need them, remember the little things, and offer deep emotional support. But after a while, they start to notice when the giving is one-sided. If they're the only one checking in, listening, or making an effort, they begin to feel more like a service than a friend or partner. This imbalance doesn't always hit right away. INFJs tend to assume the best in people. They give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe the other person is going through something. Maybe they're just distracted. So they wait, and they keep giving. But over time, the weight builds. And with each unanswered message, each forgotten birthday, each one-sided favor, the INFJ feels more and more unseen. It's not that they expect grand gestures or constant attention. They just want to feel like their care is returned, even in small ways. Eventually, the imbalance becomes too obvious to ignore. That's when the INFJ starts pulling away. At first, it may just be emotional distance. They stop sharing as much. They stop trying so hard. They become less available. But if nothing changes, they eventually walk away for good. INFJs don't want to be someone's background character. They want relationships that are mutual, where both people show up. When they give love and support, they want to know it matters. When they open up, they want to feel heard. They also want to know they can count on the other person. INFJs are strong, but they also have vulnerable moments. If the people around them disappear when things get hard, the INFJ notices. And that lack of support makes it clear this isn't a safe or balanced connection. So they leave, not out of bitterness, but out of need. They've been giving too much and receiving too little. And when that pattern becomes the norm, it's no longer healthy to stay. Walking away is the INFJ's way of protecting their energy. It's their way of saying, I matter too. Reason number 5, need for solitude and reflection. INFJs are introverts who process life deeply. They need quiet time to think, feel, and reset. When they don't get that time, their thoughts become tangled and their emotions pile up. Solitude isn't a luxury for them, it's a need. And when that need is ignored, they start to shut down. People around them might not notice at first. The INFJ may still smile, still talk, still function. But inside, they're craving space. They're overwhelmed, overstimulated, and emotionally full. The more noise and demands around them, the more they want to retreat. This can become a serious issue in environments that don't respect their need for space. Whether it's a job that never slows down, a relationship that's always on, or a group of friends that doesn't give room to breathe, eventually, the INFJ starts to fade out. Not because they don't care, but because they've gone too long without a break. Reflection is just as important. INFJs process things deeply and slowly. After an emotional event or difficult situation, they don't bounce back right away. They need time to sit with what happened, understand how they feel, and make sense of their experience. If they don't get that time, their stress builds. And so does their distance. If someone doesn't understand this, they might accuse the INFJ of being distant or cold. But they're not shutting others out. They're trying to find themselves again. And if the people around them can't respect that, the INFJ eventually leaves. They walk away because they've been asked to live in a way that isn't natural to them. Always on, always connected, always giving, and that kind of life slowly breaks them down. Walking away allows them to return to themselves. It gives them the quiet they need to hear their own thoughts again, and that's when they start to feel whole. Reason number 6, fear of being a burden. INFJs care deeply about the people in their lives. They're the first to check in when someone's quiet, the first to offer help when something feels off. But when they're the ones struggling, things are different. Instead of reaching out, they often retreat. And one big reason for that is a quiet fear. They don't want to be a burden. This fear isn't based on logic. Most people wouldn't see the INFJ as a problem. But in the INFJ's mind, opening up about their pain feels risky. They worry that their feelings might be too much, that by sharing, they'll add stress to the people they love. So instead of asking for support, they stay silent. Over time, that silence becomes distance. The INFJ begins to hold everything inside. They might smile less, they might show up less, and eventually, they might leave completely. Not because they don't care, but because they care too much. They believe that walking away might be easier for everyone. They think, if I'm not around, I can't weigh anyone down. It's a quiet form of self-protection, but also a way of protecting others from what they believe is too heavy to share. This fear can grow stronger if they've opened up in the past and were met with rejection or discomfort. If someone brushed off their feelings or acted distant afterward, the INFJ remembers. They store that moment, and it shapes how they open up in the future. So they keep it all inside. They become more reserved, less expressive, and harder to reach. And if this fear keeps growing without being addressed, the INFJ walks away, not with blame, but with guilt. They tell themselves it's better this way, even if it hurts. But the truth is, INFJs rarely are a burden. They are thoughtful, giving, and full of care. Still, their fear is real. And it's one of the quiet, heartbreaking reasons why they disappear from the lives of people they once gave everything to. When an INFJ walks away, it's not sudden, it's not cold, and it's not simple. It's the result of a long journey, one where they tried, waited, hoped, and gave more than most would. But when the pain outweighs the peace, they make a quiet decision. They leave. Each reason behind their walking away is tied to something deeply human. Emotional overload, a lack of real connection, broken values, unbalanced giving, the need for space, the fear of being too much. These are not signs of weakness. They're signs of someone who feels everything too deeply to pretend anymore. INFJs don't leave out of anger. They leave because they've been holding on for too long. And when they walk away, it's not to punish, it's to protect their peace, their heart, and their sense of self. If you've ever had an INFJ walk away from your life, know this: it wasn't easy for them. They likely questioned it 100 times. They probably cried before they let go. But in the end, they chose themselves. And that choice was long overdue. Understanding these reasons doesn't just explain their goodbye. It helps us all become better at making space for depth, honesty, and quiet emotional truth.